In the solemn atmosphere of the courtroom, he found myself standing there, my finger tightly clutching the edge of the table before me.
Suddenly, my ex-husband's new wife turned her gaze upon me, her voice ringing out for all to hear, declaring, "She's a gold digger, she only married him for money." The words held no surprise for me. Vanessa had always held a disdain for me, even prior to Nathan's union with her, but to hear those words spoken aloud in the presence of the judge, the lawyers, and my daughter, it seared my heart. A warmth surged within me, yet I remained silent. I stood resolute, unyielding in my silence. Not a tear graced my cheek, nor did I seek to justify my presence. Then Nathan's attorney, Mr. Foster, gracefully intensified the situation. He leaned forward, his voice smooth and assured, and remarked, "There exists a distinct financial motivation in this matter, Your Honor. Ms. Langley enjoyed considerable advantages from Mr. Langley's earnings throughout their union. We perceive that her present financial needs mirror a similar trend." He exuded a charming confidence, effortlessly polished and delightfully self-assured. The manner in which he uttered Ms. Langley, as if I were merely a stranger. As if I had not been the one nurturing Nathan's daughter while he roamed the country on his corporate escapades. As if I were not the one who had borne the weight of our rent for the first 3 years, allowing him the space to discover himself. Yet, I remained silent. I turned my gaze to my daughter, Lily, a graceful 13-year-old, who sat just behind me. Her hands rested delicately in her lap, fingers intertwined with a gentle grace. She appeared delicate in that chair, yet her eyes sparkled with an intense fire. And then, quite unexpectedly, she rose to her feet. "Mom," she declared, her voice unwavering yet resonant enough to pierce through the clamor of the courtroom. "Do you think I should share what we discovered in Father's bank statements?" Every gaze in the room shifted, drawn in unison. Even the court reporter paused in her delicate dance of words. Mr. Foster stood still, the playful smile fading from his lips. He gracefully settled back into his seat, silence enveloping him like a soft embrace. Her words took me by surprise. It was something I had hoped she would not utter. I had gently advised her to remain silent, allowing the grown-ups to take charge, yet my daughter had her own delightful intentions. She would not allow anyone to speak falsely of her mother, not while she stood vigilant. In that instant, the world transformed entirely. Before the courtroom, before the accusations, and before my daughter rose to her feet, I was merely striving to gather the fragments of my existence. Following the divorce, each day felt as though I was awakening in a stranger's abode. The walls stood devoid of adornment. My name no longer graced anything of significance. I transitioned from Mrs. Langley to Mira, the woman who was left behind. Few comprehend the swift unraveling that occurs when a husband departs, discarding the life you shared as if it were merely an outfit he had outgrown. Nathan and I shared a beautiful union for 14 years. Our paths intertwined at the University of North Carolina. I was a junior immersed in the study of education. He was an ambitious business major, adorned with a radiant smile and lofty aspirations. I found myself utterly captivated by him. In those days, he possessed little, yet his words flowed with the grace of one destined for greatness. I held unwavering faith in him. In the quiet hours of the night, I toiled at a diner, pouring my heart into every shift to support him as he navigated the challenges of lost opportunities, ensuring his tuition and bills were met with unwavering dedication. I decided to pause my own degree when we discovered the beautiful news of my pregnancy. That marked the beginning of it all, Lily. I crafted my universe around that enchanting little girl. As Nathan ascended the corporate ladder, I remained at home, preparing meals, tidying up, packing lunches, and finding joy in being the steadfast support he professed to require. I believed that it rendered me a partner. I believed we were united as one. Yet, success transformed him. Or perhaps it unveiled the essence of who he has always been. When Lily reached the age of 10, Nathan had ceased to return home on weekends. He found himself journeying frequently, indulging in solitary holidays within the luxurious confines of hotel suites. The space that lay between us was not merely emotional, it was a carefully crafted strategy. It came to my attention that he had been transferring funds to a woman named Raina. At that moment, I remained unaware that she had woven herself into the fabric of his life long before Vanessa ever graced it. When I approached him regarding the fabrications, he offered no denial. He remarked, "You have enjoyed a life of ease for many years. One ought to embrace a sense of gratitude. Filled with gratitude. For experiencing betrayal. for nurturing our daughter in solitude while he crafted a new existence unbeknownst to me. When he departed, he didn't merely take half of the bank account. He claimed the house, the insurance, the car we once shared, all of it. I found myself in a struggle to secure the modest monthly alimony while holding on to the cherished primary custody of Lily. He contested every choice I made, persistently asserting that I sought to drain him of all he had. In the meantime, he found himself in a splendid new abode, complete with a designer kitchen, accompanied by a woman whose elegance rivaled that of a magazine cover.
Vanessa Wasmai Jr.
She expressed her thoughts on my approach to parenting, my financial choices, and my outward appearance. Though our words never crossed paths, she ensured that her sentiments about me were unmistakably clear. She once left a voicemail, expressing that women like you are the very reason men cease to believe in love. I have preserved it. I find myself at a loss for words. Perhaps it served as a gentle reminder that, despite her harsh words, my perceptions were not mere fabrications of my mind. In spite of all that surrounded me, my gaze remained steadfastly upon Lily. Our cozy apartment was just a short stroll of 2 blocks from her school. I embarked on a journey of tutoring part-time, which gracefully led me to a cherished role in teaching 3rd grade. Though our possessions were few, we were rich in tranquility. I prepared delightful homemade dinners. She graciously assisted me in grading the papers. During the weekends, we indulged in the art of baking. At times, we found ourselves seated on the floor, indulging in the charm of old sitcoms, a bowl of popcorn resting beside us, while a stack of homework lay between our eager hearts. It may not have been adorned with glamour, yet it held a profound honesty. Then, a letter graced my presence. Nathan was challenging the terms of our custody arrangement. He sought joint custody, a decision that would gracefully lessen my child support obligations by half. His attorney asserted that I was not offering a financially secure atmosphere. He found no fault in my approach to parenting. He simply wished to avoid the expense. I recall perched on the edge of my bed, cradling the letter, as if the very breath had been stolen from my lungs.
I found no angéwisine me.
Weariness enveloped me. Weary of justifying my value to those who remain oblivious to the sacrifices I have made. That night, Lily discovered me in tears. At first, she remained silent. She gracefully settled beside me, intertwining her fingers with mine. Then she whispered, "You need not face him alone."
I pose à certain understanding, dire modeur.
I perceived the world around me. I refrained from inquiring about her meaning. I gently embraced her and whispered, "You are but a child, Tess. This burden is not yours to bear." Yet in her heart, she was far more than merely a child. She stood as my witness. And she was captivated. The courthouse exuded a chill that lingered in the air. Not in a physical sense. I wore my finest coat, yet my heart felt heavy. Each person in that room had already made their choice, aligning themselves with their desired allegiance. Nathan occupied the seat to my right at the table across from me, his arms elegantly folded, and his jaw set with a certain intensity. Vanessa stood beside him, adorned in a tailored blazer and heels that soared elegantly, perhaps a touch too lofty for the solemnity of a legal hearing. Her delicate nails danced softly against the surface of her phone screen. Their voices reached me, soft yet distinct, cutting through the gentle murmur of hushed exchanges and the rustle of papers. I found myself in quiet company with my attorney, a graceful young woman by the name of Amelia Myers. She possessed a keen intellect and a gentle heart, yet found herself tested under the weight of pressure. Nathan's legal team had submitted a motion that promised to alter the course of events entirely. Should the judge determine that I have not offered Lily a financially stable environment, I may risk losing primary custody. It would transcend mere financial matters. Lily found herself caught between 2 cherished abodes. Her routines were beautifully disrupted. Her voice faded softly into the background. My gaze drifted towards her, nestled in the shadows of the courtroom's rear. She was resolute in her desire to join me, despite my heartfelt pleas for her to remain at home. She longed to absorb every word. She expressed that if they were to discuss her life, she ought to be present for such a conversation. I found myself unable to dispute that notion. The hearing commenced with a gentle hush. Judge examined our file with an inscrutable demeanor. Then Mr. Foster, the esteemed attorney representing Nathan, rose gracefully to commence his opening remarks. He glided through the room as if it were a grand stage, each step a graceful performance. His voice flowed with a graceful rhythm, artfully enchanting. Your Honor, this matter transcends the mere restriction of a mother's access to her child. This concerns safeguarding the utmost well-being of a child. Ms. Langley is presently engaged in part-time work, residing in a charming rental property, though she finds herself without a health insurance plan at this time. In the meantime, Mr. Langley possesses the means and steadfastness to present Lily with a future imbued with greater security. He scarcely cast a glance in my direction. I found myself merely a fleeting mention in his presentation. Then arrived the unexpected strike. Vanessa rose gracefully. Though it was not required of her, she graciously requested the judge to share his thoughts. He granted permission. She delicately adjusted her sleeves, then stepped forward with a grace that spoke of a deep-seated conviction in the fabrications she was about to weave. She confessed that her union with Nathan was solely for the allure of wealth. He generously provided for her way of life, her elegant abode, and her enchanting getaways. And now she seeks to extract from him through child support and alimony. Her heart never belonged to him. She took advantage of him. My heart raced with fervor. I maintained a serene expression. I understood that shedding tears might be perceived as a sign of vulnerability. Should I allow anger to surface, it would surely cast a shadow of bitterness. In any case, I would seamlessly weave into the narrative they were unfolding. Vanessa gracefully turned to meet the gaze of the judge. I would never suggest that she is an unworthy mother. What I mean to convey is that her motivations are rooted in financial aspirations. That holds significance. Then arrived the most challenging moment. Mr. Foster re-entered, as though to emphasize her words with an air of legal gravitas. Your Honor, he declared, it is our conviction that Ms. Langley's financial aspirations have gracefully shaped her actions over time. She flourished beautifully during the marriage and has continued to thrive in the time that followed the divorce. This transcends the realm of co-parenting. This concerns the pursuit of equity and accountability. My heart felt constricted. I remained quiet amidst the weight of countless moments. Amidst the shadows of Nathan's betrayal. In the quiet of the night, Lily inquired softly about why father seemed perpetually occupied. As the months passed, I often forewent my meals, hoping she would remain unaware of the fridge's gradual emptiness. I maintained my grace throughout it all. Yet as I sat there, framed by their perceptions as a mere idle opportunist, a profound sense of erasure enveloped me. I cast another fleeting gaze at Lily. Her hands were delicately clasped in her lap. Her gaze was fixed ahead, neither upon her father nor upon Celeste. Before the judge. I believed that would be the conclusion. I believed they had expressed their thoughts, and we would gracefully transition to the evidence, testimony, and paperwork that awaited us. Yet, before another voice could rise, Lily gracefully rose to her feet.
Forgive-me, she murmure.
Silence enveloped the room. She gracefully stepped forward. The judge appeared both surprised and intrigued. May I have the pleasure of speaking?
The judge cast a glance in my direction.
I nodded, a sense of uncertainty enveloping me, my heart fluttering with each beat. Lily approached gracefully, her chin held high. Her voice flowed with a graceful steadiness. I have but a single question to pose. Mother, do you think I should reveal what we discovered in father's bank statements? Soft gasps filled the air. Mr. Foster blinked, as if caught in a moment of disbelief.
Célestes expression greuto.
Nathan gracefully adjusted his position in the seat. Lily gazed directly into my eyes. She was not filled with anger. She exuded a serene grace, as if wearied by the world around her. Weary of feigning ignorance, she longed for the truth to unfold. Weary of witnessing the falsehoods spun about her mother. I remained silent, yet deep within, I understood that there was no halting her now. Everything was on the brink of transformation. I did not urge her to utter a word. Assistance was not something I sought. Yet Lily perceived the quietude I had ensconced myself within. The truth had lingered heavily upon her heart, and in that fleeting moment, she chose to act upon the decision I had long feared to embrace. She stood in that courtroom with an air of undeniable grace, as if the very essence of her being demanded to be heard. The judge lingered in silence, observing her with a blend of intrigue and careful consideration. The presence of a child interrupting a legal hearing is not something to be overlooked, particularly when the atmosphere is thick with accusations of concealment. I regret to inform you, she spoke with clarity, but there are whispers that my mother has taken money from my father. That is simply not the case. It was my father who generously bestowed his wealth upon others. Mr. Foster rose slightly, as if to voice a protest, yet the judge raised his hand gracefully, inviting him to take his seat once more. Lily, this is not a formal testimony, the judge spoke softly, yet I shall grant you a moment to share your thoughts. Please, proceed. Lily inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. She cast a glance at Nathan, then turned her gaze towards me. Several months passed. During my visit to my father's abode, he graciously assisted me with my mathematics homework. He gracefully entered his bank account to settle the payment for some online tutoring software, yet in a moment of distraction, he overlooked the simple act of logging out. Once he departed from the room, I noticed his screen remained aglow. It was not my intention to pry, yet something alluring captured my attention. Numerous payments were made to an individual by the name of Bianca Marcus. That name struck Nathan with the force of a sudden blow. He blinked, striving to maintain his composure, yet I could perceive the unease blossoming upon his features. Vanessa tensed beside him. She unmistakably acknowledged the name as well. Lily continued, sharing that she received funds nearly every month. At times, even twice. Not insignificant sums, either. Initially, I remained silent, but in due time, I confided in my mother about it. She remarked that it was not for us to concern ourselves with. She gently advised me against becoming entangled.
Hypossessed.
I gently reassured her that it was not a weight she needed to carry. She mustn't allow herself to be ensnared by the deceptions spun by those who have grown weary of truth. Yet, she had retained every exquisite detail. Bianca was more than merely a friend, Lily remarked. She was a woman with whom my father shared secret moments. I recall her from a time before the separation. Once, I caught a glimpse of her at a charming restaurant. They sat side by side, sharing laughter that danced in the air. Father whispered to me not to share this with mother. The courtroom lay in hushed stillness. Even Judge appeared taken aback. None could have anticipated the daughter's voice, nor the enchanting way in which she chose to express herself. She exuded a serene grace. She remained composed and clear-minded. She possessed an exquisite precision. Intentional. And achingly sincere. Lily delicately reached into her backpack, her fingers grazing the fabric before retrieving a carefully folded envelope. We have gracefully printed the statements, just to be on the safe side. I have brought them. Kayla, my lawyer, gazed at me with eyes full of wonder. She was unaware of this, too. I refrained from presenting the documents to her, as I had no intention of utilizing them. I had no desire to cast shadows upon anyone. I aspired to triumph with grace. Yet my daughter possessed instincts of her own. For years, she had observed as others wove their deceitful tales about me. And now she had reached the end of her journey. With grace, Amelia rose and glided towards the bench, graciously accepting the envelope from Lily. With a graceful gesture, she presented it to the judge. Your Honor, I must confess that I was not privy to this evidence. However, if allowed, I feel it is pertinent to the assertion of financial motivation. The judge gracefully unveiled the documents. He immersed himself in the quietude of his reading. Each page unveils the hidden transfers of Nathan, a tapestry of secrets waiting to be discovered.
A multitude of dollars.
All the while asserting that I was the one draining him of his vitality. Mr. Foster rose once more, yet this time with a touch of careful grace. With the utmost respect, Your Honor, we must express our objection to the utilization of materials acquired without proper consent. The judge gracefully raised a hand. She discovered them within the confines of her father's home, during the moment he was logged in. While it may not be a formal breach, I shall render a decision on its admissibility in due course. At this moment, I have gathered sufficient insight to grasp the larger narrative. Nathan's expression was one of deep fury. Vanessa gazed intently into the distance. Her jaw tightened delicately. I could perceive the delicate dance of her thoughts, as she revisited each tale that Nathan had ever shared with her. That no longer held any significance for me. The atmosphere in the room transformed delicately.
No one d'arrête tout la belle me a gold digger now.
It was clear that Nathan harbored secrets beneath his charming facade. I rose gracefully, approached Lily, and tenderly enveloped her in my embrace.
You needn't have done that, he murmured softly.
I desired to, she whispered.
Yor unwavering protection envelope me like à Jante l'embrasse.
I pondered that perhaps it was time for me to follow suit. I gently pressed my lips to the crown of her head. For the first time in years, a sense of companionship enveloped me, as if the weight of my struggles was shared, and I was no longer alone in my fight. The judge meticulously examined the bank statements, savoring each detail with a thoughtful grace. With each turn of the page, a symphony of sound echoed, growing ever more pronounced. Silence enveloped the room, as if the very air held its breath. Even Nathan's lawyer, who had once strode the room with an air of arrogance, now sat motionless in his chair. His confidence had slipped away like a fleeting whisper. Judge at last lifted his gaze. Mr. Langley, would you be so kind as to elucidate these recurring transfers to the esteemed Ms. Bianca Marcus? Nathan cleared his throat, attempting to conjure a smile that danced upon his lips. She was a cherished companion from days gone by. I offered her my support during a challenging time. The judge arched an eyebrow, a subtle hint of intrigue dancing in the air. A challenging journey that spanned 3 years, with expenditures exceeding $60,000? Nathan gracefully adjusted his position in the seat. It lacked a certain consistency. Among those were certain reimbursements. Is there someone who is not connected to you, not included in your tax filings, and not referenced in your financial disclosures? The judge's voice flowed with a calm assurance, yet each word resonated with the weight of a gavel's strike.
Monsieur Langlais, you asserted financial hardship underwat.
You have cast aspersions upon Ms. Langley, claiming her demands to be excessive, all the while concealing substantial sums in private expenditures. I refrained from smiling. I refrained from gloating. I observed Nathan retreat within, as the burden of his deceptions bore heavily upon him. Vanessa remained still, as if caught in a delicate moment suspended in time. Her gaze remained fixed upon the ground. Mr. Foster endeavored to regain his composure. Your Honor, while these transactions may lie beyond the boundaries of our initial claim, they do not undermine the essence of our central argument. The judge interrupted him. Their actions profoundly diminish your credibility. You have leveled accusations of financial manipulation against Ms. Langley, while your client was discreetly nurturing another relationship in the shadows. This transforms the very essence of the entire case. The room was enveloped in a serene silence. Amelia offered me the faintest of nods. I grasped the essence of its meaning. The judge was contemplating more than merely the child support arrangements. He found himself reflecting deeply on the entirety of the custody motion. At long last, Vanessa shattered the stillness that enveloped them. With a sudden grace, she rose and directed her gaze toward Nathan. You mentioned she was draining you of everything, she said, her voice a soft whisper yet edged with intensity. You mentioned that you were unable to manage both homes, yet you were sending her money all along? Nathan attempted to quiet her gently. Celeste, not at this moment. She gracefully withdrew her arm from his embrace. Indeed, this is precisely the moment. You brought me to shame in this courtroom. You have entangled your daughter in this matter.
And for what purpose, you wonder? Tu conseilles the truth of your de ses from soul?
She swept out of the courtroom with a fierce grace. Nathan chose not to pursue her. The judge inclined slightly, drawing closer with an air of intent. This matter has arisen to examine the suitability and financial standing of Ms. Langley. Upon careful consideration of the evidence, I must conclude that such concern is unwarranted. Indeed, I perceive a graceful consistency of integrity and restraint in her demeanor. In stark contrast, Mr. Langley's elusive nature and persistent endeavors to sway financial information have stirred considerable unease. He lingered for a moment, allowing the weight of his words to settle gently in the air. The primary custody shall continue to be entrusted to Ms. Langley. The terms of child support shall remain as they are, unchanged. Moreover, the court shall suggest a comprehensive financial audit of Mr. Langley's assets to ascertain whether any additional legal measures may be warranted. A gentle breath found its way back to my chest. Not quite the solace one seeks. A yearning for something more profound.
Affirmation.
For an eternity, I devoted myself to dispelling the shadows of their words, striving to reveal the truth of my essence. I no longer needed to. Lily gently intertwined her fingers with mine. Though she remained silent, her grip conveyed a resolute strength. Her chin rose gracefully, a testament to the pride she felt in her accomplishments. As I gazed upon her, a profound understanding washed over me. This day would forever be etched in her memory. not due to her father's missteps, but rather because she embraced the truth. And it held great significance. As we glided into the hallway, others gracefully parted to let us pass. The very individuals who had once murmured when Vanessa labeled me a gold digger now regarded me with a newfound sense of respect. Perhaps it is guilt that lingers in the air. Before departing, Amelia cast a glance in my direction. You have not merely triumphed, dear Mira. You revealed your true essence to the world. I nodded, yet my gaze remained fixed on Lily. I had long been aware of my true self. I simply wished for her to behold it as well. She had already done so. The case had concluded, yet a profound transformation stirred within my soul. For the first time in years, I emerged from the courthouse, unburdened by shame. I was not a woman standing in the face of falsehoods. I was not one to cling to mere remnants of dignity.
I found misel fonce mort, une adorned trou.
Mira Langley, a devoted mother, an inspiring teacher, and a resilient survivor, who steadfastly chose to pen her own narrative, undeterred by the tales of others. Lily and I entered the car, enveloped in a serene silence. I ignited the engine, yet neither of us made a single motion. She gazed out the window, gently nibbling on the edge of her sleeve, a familiar gesture when her thoughts swelled beyond the confines of language. Today, you displayed a remarkable courage, I remarked. May I inquire, are you feeling well? She inclined her head gracefully, then turned her gaze towards me. Indeed, I never anticipated it would weigh so heavily upon my heart afterward. I gently reached over and took her delicate hand in mine. It is for the reason that you championed something truly genuine. Revealing the truth may bear a weight, yet you embraced it with grace and fortitude.
Mayat swells with pride for you.
She cast her gaze once more towards the window. My actions were not for my own sake. I understand your perspective, yet you reveal to all the essence of your character, and that holds greater significance than any words spoken about me. We returned to our cozy little apartment. The wall awaited a fresh coat of paint, and the bathroom faucet still lamented softly when turned with too much fervor. Yet, it seemed to radiate a warmth that was somehow more profound. Additional hours. Greater rewards await. That evening, following our meal, I gently tucked her in and settled beside her bed as she turned the pages of a comic book she had cherished a dozen times before. I gently swept a lock of hair from her forehead and pressed a tender kiss upon her cheek. "Mother?" she inquired. "Indeed? I understand that you wished for me to remain silent in court. Were you upset?" I pondered it for a fleeting moment.
Oh, au fear gripped Mayat.
Fearful that it might unravel. Fearful that they might distort it and render it even more complicated. Yet, you were never careless. You were indeed correct. Her smile graced her lips. I wished for them to cease weaving falsehoods about you. You are not as they described. I gently clasped her hand.
Nor are you.
Once she drifted into slumber, I lingered in the kitchen for what felt like an eternity. I gently unveiled the folder of paperwork I had once kept concealed. Documents that Nathan never imagined I would arrange. Records he never dreamed I would cherish. I had sheltered him for an eternity. Not from a place of love, but rather from the comfort of routine. I yearned to hold on to the notion that silence still possessed a certain grace. Yet, silence finds its true essence only in the company of those who hold it in reverence. That courtroom revealed a truth I had long been reluctant to acknowledge. Remaining silent to preserve harmony is effective only when you are not the target of the assault. I found my voice, no longer shrouded in silence. My daughter was not either. I found myself uncertain of what fate awaited Nathan and Vanessa in the moments to come. Their fate, whether entwined or separated, held little significance for my heart. It was never their downfall that defined my completeness. Their cruelty did not shape my essence. And their judgment no longer carried significance. What I emerged with from that courtroom was not revenge. It was a moment of pure clarity. They labeled me a gold digger, for it was far simpler than confronting their own shortcomings. They endeavored to diminish my sacrifices to mere dollar signs and legal papers, yet they overlooked the true essence of power that resides within me. I am the woman who persevered, even when all was lost. I am the mother whose daughter recognized her own value long before the world did. I ceased the pursuit of justice and began to embody it. At the office, my esteemed colleagues inquired about the outcome of the hearing. With a gentle smile, I declared that it was decided. I chose not to reveal the drama, the tension, or the profound silence that enveloped the moment after my daughter's question. That moment belonged to us alone. It need not be recounted as mere whispers of intrigue. It has woven itself into the fabric of our tale. One that belonged to us alone, a tale only we could weave. The following morning, as Lily prepared for school, she appeared to have a newfound elegance, standing a bit taller in the soft light. She gracefully drew her hoodie over her head, casually slung her backpack over one shoulder, and bestowed upon me a smile that suggested nothing could ever disturb her poise.
"Are you prepared?"
I inquired.
"Forever," she whispered.
I too found myself in that sentiment. I never sought wealth for its own sake. I once held the cherished title of mother. And they shall forever cherish the moment when my daughter unveiled the essence of my true self. If this tale resonates with you, if you have ever felt overlooked, muted, or misunderstood, may you now recognize the strength that lies within your truth. At times, it is but a single voice, such as that of my daughter, that gently calls the world to remember. If you experienced a spark while watching, kindly give the video a like, share it with someone who might cherish it, and grace us with your thoughts in the comments below. I have perused each and every one. Should you desire to immerse yourself in more heartfelt tales such as this, do consider subscribing to the channel and activating notifications, ensuring that you never overlook a cherished moment. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Your time, your art, and your voice hold d'immense significance.